Okay, let's watch that Tim Pool video. This is a little bit longer. This is 37 minutes. So I'm going to assume apparently Tim and his band of friends had some feelings about the Nick Fuentes stuff. Because if Tim can yammer on about this for 37 minutes, he definitely had some feelings. All right, let's see what happened, Timmy.
Nick Fuentes comments on the Tim Pool Jake Shields Twitter fight.
Oh, this is
many of you may be saying, "What is?"
Holy shit! This isn't even from. I thought this was from Tim's show. This is literally just Tim ranting for 37 minutes about this. Yo, Tim had feelings. This wasn't even Tim talking to other people about this. This was Tim just having feelings on the internet. You love to see it.
It's all about Tim, and why are you engaging in online drama? Well, I actually think this one's interesting, and it pertains to the bigger picture of censorship, free speech, what's going on with Israel. And I do think what we're seeing here matters.
Is Tim Pool about to struggle session all of us? Did I accidentally walk into a struggle session at 1:30 in the morning?
For the most part, in terms of how we solve problems politically, mostly due to censorship. And I think the big question here is, why is it so difficult to host people like Nick Fuentes and people like Jake Shields? And, of course, responding to the insinuation.
It's so difficult because you're a coward, Tim. You're a coward. That's why it's so difficult. You can make up every excuse in the book, bro. The problem is that you're a coward. If you were afraid of losing your YouTube channel, you know what you would do, Tim? You would just fucking host it on Rumble as a Rumble exclusive because you talked about wanting to grow the Rumble presence so you're less reliable on YouTube anyway. So why wouldn't you just bring them on and just host it on Rumble as a Rumble fucking exclusive to get more people over there so you can become less reliant on YouTube? And every time something like this happens, you could stop making the excuse that it's all about losing your channel. You're not doing that, Tim, because you are a coward. Because you know that Nick would wipe the floor with you and it wouldn't even be close. You are a coward. This is the only reason this is happening. This is why you made a 37-minute video feeling your feelings on the internet about all of this. You are a coward.
And accusations against Tim Cast IRL. So we'll get into the weeds of the drama. But again, to reiterate, I believe the weeds of the drama explain an issue with censorship that will be enlightening to many people as it pertains to podcasting and YouTube. And I will also say, I think it is for these reasons, Timcast IRL and Timcast are, sort of just in the bubble that they are. The corporate press and the mainstream is much more willing to support you if you flat out endorse particular worldviews. And if you're open and honest about what's going on and entertain ideas that are bad, you will be harmed by it. But let's start with this clip from Nick.
So you're a coward.
And then we will break down what's currently going on.
You're
and I'll
a coward.
give you the quick gist before we do. This has to do with an attempt to book a guest.
I just want to say, who is sexier in this video? Everyone has to have a vote. Hang on. I'm going to do an official poll in the chat. Hang on. And I don't care if you're not attracted to men. You're still going to vote, okay? Everyone vote. Hang in. Who is sexier? Tim or Nick? You have to choose. No backing out. Make a decision. I'm not saying you have to sleep with them or kiss them on the cheek or anything. Make a decision. Who's hotter, Tim or Nick? I'll just leave this on the screen for a second so you can have both of them on the screen at the same time. Like, who is hotter, Tim or Nick? I need to see those numbers up. There's a lot of people who haven't voted yet. Who is hotter, Tim or Nick? Yep. Nick absolutely has better hair than Tim. We know that. I would go so far as to say that that Nick has a better mustache than Tim. I mean, Nick is even though Nick is wearing his grandfather's tie and he really does need to work on that tie collection, and Nick needs to find his young Italian Catholic virgin girlfriend very soon, because someone needs to take Nick tie shopping. But you can admit that, Nick makes effort to actually wear at least a jacket and a shirt and a tie. He's probably wearing shorts on the bottom, but he looks better. He's better dressed. All right. Last chance to vote. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And it looks like 89% of you, 89% of you think that Nick Fuentes is hotter than Tim Pool. This is a very scientific poll. And listen, man, my channel doesn't have a lot of they're not Groypers here. I mean, there are Groypers here, and I know there are Nick fans watching right now, but the general audience on my channel is not necessarily they're not all Nick fans. Some of them are Tim fans. I don't really know why, but some of them are Tim fans, and it still says that 89% of the people who voted in the poll says that Nick Fuentes is hotter than Tim Pool.
MMA fighter named Jake Shields, and ultimately his demand that if he does come on, he would only do it if Nick Fuentes came on as well. Let me play this clip for you from Nick Fuentes, then I'll show you what Jake Shields says, and then I will break down the issue of censorship, particularly pertaining to Nick Fuentes and in general. So I think this will be this could be enlightening for many people.
Also, thoughts on the Tim Pool versus Jake Shield panel stuff?
Yeah, that's ridiculous. Tim Pool's just like a total.
Hey, I just want this to be noted for the Groypers that are like, you have no audience. You're doing like. I just want you guys to know that most of the people who watch my channel didn't even fucking know who Nick was before I started talking about Nick. All right, and I just want some credit for that. I'm not Sneeko or anything. Thank God. I would never want that. I'm not any of those other ridiculous people that Nick associates with that have big streamer numbers. But I did deliver Nick what is probably like a higher... My audience probably has a higher disposable income than any of Nick's friends, than any of their audiences. I'll just say that.
Tim Pool invited Jake Shields and said, you can bring anybody you want. And Jake...
False! I did not invite Jake Shields. I don't do booking for Timcast IRL, nor did I ever say to anyone, bring whoever you want.
Shields said, I'll bring Nick Fuentes. Then Tim Pool said,
got some receipts,
we
Tim.
have to debate people. And we gave them names. They're like, no, not that one. No, not that one.
Lie.
Oh, no one will do it. And then they just ghosted Jake Shields.
All right. I'm willing to go full bore on this one as to what I know for the sake of Nick and ghosting Jake Shields. Let me flip a little bit more.
So those people are always playing games. I'm so sick of playing games. Bring us on.
Tim is so pissed about this, he's doing a reaction video. Like, are you shitting me? Is... Tim is pissed. Why is Tim so angry about this? It's almost like Nick Fuentes won. Did Nick Fuentes defeat Tim Pool without even going on Tim's show? Did that actually happen? Did we see that happen in real time right now, right in front of us?
On the show, don't bring us on the show. I don't give a fuck. The show sucks anyway.
Does
bring
suck.
Us on, don't bring us on, but stop playing
True.
games and lying. Oh, well, we can't have you on because, well, you keep asking. We won't bring you on because your followers ask. We won't bring you on because no one will debate. Shut the fuck. Do it or don't do it and shut the fuck up. Stop with the games.
Exactly, Nick. See, I mean, I'm sorry. Like, that attitude is hot. It just is.
But you know what it is? they don't want to admit that they have sold out. They will not bring me on because
It's
they
true.
are terrified.
This is true.
of being-
This situation is getting under Tim's skin the worst of anything since Adam told the full story, and Adam did like a 6-hour stream where he told the full story about how Tim was fucking Lydia and all the things that happened. And at the very end of that stream, Tim came on and started super chatting Adam to try to gaslight him. Do you guys remember this? That was amazing. And Tim was so pissed off and he was so triggered by it that he did a whole response stream the next day. Like, nothing has gotten under Tim's skin as much as that until now. Like, well done, Jake Shields. Well done. Oh, yeah, bro. Yeah, Tim was fucking Lydia. Tim was fucking Lydia. Like, and by the way, I was actually the first person to talk about that on the internet, and how I knew was that Adam fucking told me, like, years before, and then Adam told me along with another asshole who I'm not going to name, and we were in the same room at the same time, and this was like right after it all happened, and I kept that fucking secret for years. I tucked that down. I didn't say anything publicly about it. The other asshole did, and he fucking blabbed. And then I got blamed for it because he blamed me, and everyone told it was like, oh my, Carlin did this, Carlin did that. I didn't do shit. I never fucking talked about that shit publicly. But I ended up getting blamed so much for talking about it publicly, which I didn't do, that finally I was like, fuck you guys. If you guys are going to run around and shit talk me, and Lydia's going to shit talk me, and I'm going to get blamed for this anyway, then I actually am going to talk about it, because why the fuck not? Why shouldn't I? If you assholes are going to spread lies about me, then why don't I just make money off of this situation and fucking talk about it? So I said it first, and then a week later, Adam did a whole 6-hour video where Adam talked about how Tim was fucking Lydia and all the drama around that. And if you missed it, it was actually pretty good drama. I was doing a meta reaction stream to it because I wanted Adam to tell the whole story. I'd known the whole story for years. And then Tim got really pissed off, and Tim came to gaslight Adam by sending him super chats at the end. And then Tim did a whole live stream about it the next day. Yeah, there was drama. There was drama. That was good content, though. Anyway.
Censor.
That's correct.
Just say it. Everyone knows it. They keep making up countless excuses. We can't bring them on for this reason. We can't bring them on for that reason. Everyone knows they're afraid of losing their channel. Fine, just say that. You're not a
We
free
literally
speech
did.
platform.
That's exactly what we told Jake Shields. So let's go back, and I'll play a little bit, and then we'll break it down for you.
Do it. And then they just ghosted Jake Shields.
Didn't ghost Jake Shields. He texted me like a week ago. I don't know. I was just in Mar-a-Lago. I'm running a business. I record 16 hours a day.
God.
It's absolutely.
Oh my God. Oh my God. I was at Mar-a-Lago. It was just too busy for me. I had that little trip to Mar-a-Lago. Bro, anyone with any connections at all can get into Mar-a-Lago. If I wanted to get into Mar-a-Lago, I could. But I don't want to go to Florida, and I don't want to put on a dress, and I don't really care that much. But I absolutely could. I have the connections to do that, and you do too, Tim. So it wasn't actually, you have more connections than me by like 1,000,000%. So it's not actually that impressive you went to Mar-a-Lago.
Remarkable, where it's just like, you know, you have these people, and it's so rough. It's so rough, right? You try to give everyone you can the time of day. Okay, I got 2 million followers on X. I don't even look at mentions anymore. I can't even respond to people for the most part. Sometimes I might pop in, but usually I don't. And on this channel, it's like 1.2 or whatever million. IRL's 1.6 million. The Culture War is 1.3 million. And our podcast is another 1.3 million, the podcast platform. And
yet here you are. And Tim is right now pretending he has a giant cock. If I had to bet, I would actually say that I probably would bet that Nick has a larger cock than Tim, because Tim, Asian, Nick, Italian. I don't think Tim is like, I'm not going to elaborate anymore on that prediction. I'm just going to say that what I think is happening right now is Tim is trying to pretend that he has a giant cock by talking about all his numbers, Like, I have a million here and a million there and a million here and a million there. And what do you have, Nick? I have a million here and a million. I just don't have time for the little people anymore. Well, Tim, guess what? If you didn't have the time, bro, why are you making a 37-minute response video? Because if you were oh so important, and you guys, I just have all these followers, and I'm going to Mar-a-Lago, and blah, 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 I just don't have time for this nonsense. You wouldn't have made a 37-minute video, Tim.
These are overlapping but largely different audiences. We track this through unique viewership, and certainly not the biggest show. We average the largest live audience, but it's impossible for me to deal with literally everybody who I'm trying to talk to. And I actually told Jake Shields, text me like once a week because I'm busy. But let's play more.
So those people are always playing games. I'm so sick of playing games. Bring us on the show. Don't bring us on the show. I don't give a.
No. Phil does not like me because Phil is a James Lindsay stan, and Phil doesn't yet realize that some of the things that Phil accredits to James Lindsay actually stole from me. Phil is going to realize this someday. I really do think that Phil is a smart guy, and at some point he's going to realize that James Lindsay is full of shit. But we're not there yet. We're still working on it.
Fuck. The show sucks anyway.
Oh, sour grapes now, huh, Nick?
Bring us on, don't bring us on, but stop playing games and lying. Oh, well, we can't have you on because, well, you keep asking to come. We won't bring you on.
I'm allowed to watch whatever the fuck I want on my channel. I have an ongoing series where I watch other people's content on my channel. It only makes sense that if I'm going to be watching other people's content anyway, that I might as well make content out of it that I can repurpose later and make money on later. Because I can either sit here and do it by myself and make no money, or make content and at least maybe get some clips out of it and make some money. That just makes good sense. So whatever. You don't have to be here, bro. No one invited you. You're a communist. Go away.
On because your followers ask. We won't bring you on because no one will debate. Shut the fuck. Do it or don't do it, and shut the fuck up.
So let's break this down. Let me tell you the story. We'll start with a tweet here from Jake Shields. He says, Tim Pool is such a joke of a man with no principles. Last month he told me he told me he would let have and Nick Fuentes on to debate Israel. Later he called and said he didn't feel equipped to debate and needed to find multiple Zionists for the panel. False.
Yes, you are correct. I sell t-shirts and coffee mugs. I turned a hobby into an actual business that provides a sustainable revenue line, which you guys claim is impossible because you're fucking communists and you're lazy AF and you don't actually want to try to build anything. And so you poo-poo people selling t-shirts and mugs with cool shit on it that people like to wear for reasons past my understanding. Is it because you can't actually start businesses on your own? Is it because you can't create anything on your own at all? Do you shit talk the workers in like bookstores and coffee shops and like at like that work at the mall too, bro? Do you shit talk them? Is it just laughable that, oh my God, you're in a store and you're selling stuff? Oh my God, like how dare you? Like, you guys are all too good for that. You're fucking communists.
I don't debate Zionism. The Culture War show, when it is a debate, is, as anybody knows who's watched it, two different people. For instance, maybe you watched last week's episode on abortion, where we had a pro-choice pastor and a pro-life activist. And of course, because of the disparity between, like the moderate position and the leftist position, certainly I had many questions for the pro-choice guy, but I certainly had questions for the pro-left individual as well. And many people pointed out when we had Vosh and Charlie Kirk on Timcast IRL, again, I moderated. There are certain things where I may debate someone. We did have an episode of Vosh where we debated. And my position being like classically or traditionally liberal versus their progressive position is when we debated. However, let me tell you what happened. Actually, let me finish his tweet for him. He says, I called him back last week to see what he wanted to do, and he ignored my calls. Eventually, he had his employee tell me that he changed his mind. Personally, I believe a man should always keep his word, and if he doesn't, at least have the balls to talk to who you lied to. These are our brave right-wing influencers. I wonder why Nick Fuentes didn't want to mention Laura Loomer. I wonder why Jake and Nick did not mention Laura Loomer. I like
Why
Laura.
would they?
I think she's fierce. I think she's
Why would
the
they? Nick and Laura Loomer are
biggest Trump
friends.
supporter imaginable, and possibly the tip of the spear of all spears, one of the most effective at getting PR. Really, wow.
Wow.
And so considering Laura is Jewish, and I believe, I don't want to put words in her mouth, a Zionist, we said, this would be the biggest show ever. Let's do it. Laura said no. I'm like, okay, you know, sorry, Laura, to bring your name up, but if this is the game they're going to play, and they don't want to mention the show we tried to organize, with all due respect, maybe Laura's...
What does that have to do with anything? Tim just threw Laura Loomer under the bus with the Groypers of all people, which is going to piss Nick off because Nick is friends with Laura Loomer and he takes a lot of shit for it. Nick just threw Laura Loomer under the bus when it wasn't even relevant to what's being said. Wow. If I was Laura Loomer, I'd be like, fuck you, Tim. Fuck you.
Unable to do it for whatever reason. Those are her reasons. I don't do booking. I don't know. Maybe Laura, I don't know. I can tell you this. Cassandra Fairbanks does booking for Timcast IRL. I don't. I often don't know who the guests are. We have a guest roster.
Sandra McDonald.
And names pop up and I say, oh, cool. Lisa Reynolds books guests for the Culture War. Lisa Reynolds tried to book Jake Shields months ago. We reached out trying to get him on the show. He didn't want to do it. I don't know why. I don't do booking.
You're boring.
So I'll tell you what happens. I get a message from Cassandra saying, I reached out to Jake Shields to have him on the show. He says he'll only do it if we allow Nick Fuentes on. What do you think? And I was like, oh, here we go. Because I know.
Hang on. Naruto says, I've noticed recently that Lauren Chen hasn't had a video uploaded to the Blaze in like 2 months. They only share her stuff on the Blaze YouTube. Well, that's interesting. At least they're sharing it on their YouTube. Thank you, Naruto. Appreciate it.
Know exactly what's going to happen. You can't just have Nick Fuentes on your show. Nick knows this. Jake Shields knows this.
Communist, you are being intellectually dishonest. That was actually not what that video was about. If you had half of a brain in your head, you would know that. So it seems like you're coming in here and just trying to start shit. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to put you in a timeout. And if you come back, stop disrupting the fucking stream. No one wants to hear from you anyway. And if you don't fucking settle the fuck down, I'm just going to ban you and you won't be allowed back in the future.
I don't know what their game is. So here's what I said. Okay, there's a way you can do it. So I said, let me call Jake Shields. DM'd him, hit him up. And I basically told him, you want to come in and talk about the Jews, right? Oh, he says Israel? No. Let me show you. When he says, you lie like a Jew.
Oh, here we go.
On his Twitter account, there it is, right on the screen for you.
Gravy.
He's not talking about coming on and debating Israel, okay? And so I get on the phone with him.
It's almost him as though a moderator can ask questions which form the basis for the discussion in the debate.
And I said, if you want to talk about Jews and Israel, we will be banned, okay? Like if you come on, you and Nick, and all you do is start saying things like you lie like a Jew, we'll get banned. Now,
So why don't you do it as a Rumble exclusive? Because, Tim, you've talked about this publicly, bro. You've literally talked about the fact how you're too overly reliant on YouTube and Rumble isn't there yet. Well, guess what? This, to me, seems like a golden fucking opportunity to do Rumble exclusive content so that you don't get banned on your YouTube channel that would probably get like a kajillion goddamn views on Rumble that would add more people to your audience on there. It seems to me like a golden opportunity that you're overlooking. You also, as I recall, Tim, have some sort of like membership website. Maybe you could do it there. I mean, I know that's not ideal. You should really just do it on Rumble. But like, why isn't that even under consideration? Oh, because Tim is just a coward and he doesn't want to do this.
In their crackpot, brain melted world, they think it's because Jews are out to get them. In reality, there is a ban on all hate speech You can't say that of Muslims. You can't say that of trans people, of gay people. In fact, Facebook actually started banning people, women, feminists, for putting hashtag kill all men. Not that I think typically they will ban people who are racist towards white people, but it's not just because Israel is controlling everything. Oh, the boogeyman's coming to get you. They banned Islamophobia. They banned saying the name of a CIA guy. So the long story short of it is, if I call him on the phone and I'm like, we could do a really big show. I talked to like our people, like Cassandra does booking, and I talked to some other individuals who like do production. We all agree it could be the biggest show ever, but it has to be a debate. Otherwise we get banned, right? You don't just come on the show and then start saying things like you lie like a Jew. Okay. That's like, you get banned for that. If you said you lie like a black person or whatever, you get banned for those things too. But a debate we could do. Typically YouTube's rules pertaining to censorship have to do with if there's pushback or not. So, although the rules are nebulous and they'll ban you, whatever you do, it's ridiculous. Just make it up. But the best way to approach it, of course, would be you come on and give your position and we'll have someone else. Well, the first thing Jake does is says, why don't we debate you? You're a Zionist. And I'm like, what? I was like, dude, I'm not a Zionist. I don't care for the morality of Israel. I think the U.S. should divest this military funding and we should be focused on America first. And he was insistent, right, but Tim, you're a Zionist and everyone in your company's like, I'm like, most people here are like America first libertarian. And I'm like, Jake, you know Cassandra.
Yeah, Cassandra is definitely not a Zionist. Definitely not a Zionist.
She's like hypercritical of Israel all the time. I think we actually do have we don't have any employees that I would describe as Zionist. We have 2 contractors who are probably overt Zionists and proudly stating as such. Out of 40 to 50 employees, most of whom are like, I don't want to fund Israel at all, and Israel can fend for themselves. I don't care. 2 of them are outright like, and I don't even think of the people who are totally Zionist are absolutely saying the U.S. should be funding it either. But this is the conversation we had. We do a show with we invited you to do a show because Jake has been a political commentator on a lot of things. We've praised him for some of his commentary in the past. He says, I won't come on unless Nick comes on. I never offered. I don't do booking. I don't know what Cassandra said. I really doubt that's the case. But he wanted Nick Fuentes on. I said, okay, you want Nick Fuentes on? The only way it can happen is if it's a debate. Otherwise, we get banned. Fact. Everybody knows that. Nick knows it. We know it. You know it. Why ask? So we offered up what we thought would be an amazing show. Laura Loomer. We're all friends. I respect her work. I think she's smart. I think she could handle a good debate. She says no. We are all really disappointed. I was even talking to sponsors, and they were like, wow, that would be amazing. And this idea that we sold out, they just want.
I don't believe that. I mean, it could be true. It could be. I could be wrong. There is rare occasion on which I am wrong. I don't believe that Tim was talking to sponsors.
The money, they got the call. Are you nuts? When I talked to some companies and I said, look at this, Nick Fuentes, Jake Shields, Laura Loomer. Most of them are like, Jake, who's Jake Shields? I'm not trying to be disrespectful. Jake Shields is an MMA guy. He's not in that political space, but I was like, Jake's been very active in criticizing Israel with October 7th. Nick Fuentes, of course, you know who he is. Laura Loomer, of course, you know who she is. And it would be a Zionism debate. They were like, this is going to be like 5 million views. And I'm like, yeah, it's going to be massive. And I was like, we want to do it. Laura said no. I don't know, whatever, man. People don't have to do shows they don't want to do. We kind of sprung it on her at the last minute. And she's probably like, dude, I'm busy. I'm campaigning. It's like campaign season.
So you can't find someone else?
So then you have a handful of other people all refuse to do it.
Wait.
Jake Shields.
Tim, are you honestly telling me you can't find one fucking Zionist on the internet? Not one? I don't believe that. I'm sorry.
Offers up Rabbi Shmuley. And I said to him on the phone, he sends me a text, like, what about this guy? And it's like, I was like, look, man, you do realize that if we do a debate with someone like Shmuley, people are just going to claim that you guys bowed out of a real debate. Because he's more of like he's the guy who put on the weird Candace Owens outfit or whatever. And I'm like, it's not going to be viewed as like a legitimate, battle of wits. And he agreed. at least presumably. So it was like a week ago. He texts me asking like, what's the status or whatever. And I don't know what I'm doing. Look, man, I have probably
I'm
like
so
1,000
busy.
texts.
I
I
have
get
to
300
go
to
to
400 emails per
Mar-a-Lago.
day, and I can't answer them. My phone's muted completely, no vibration, and I never answer it. That's why I told Jake a month ago, text me every week, so it stays in mind. Because we never said no. We were like, we're trying to figure it out. Well, what ends up happening is, I guess he hit me up last week, and then he went to Cassandra. And again, I don't know exactly what Cassandra's saying because I don't do booking. But Cassandra reaches out to me and she asks,
couldn't you have asked Cassandra what she was saying? She does work for you.
like, hey, where are we at with this? And I was like, look, if it's not a debate, we'll just get banned. What's the point of doing it? Like, what is their end game? Just to come on the show and get us banned from YouTube? I don't understand. And so my understanding is Cassandra said something to the effect to Jake, like, look, if we just have you on, we'll just get banned. And Jake said, I totally understand. This is being relayed to me. I understand. Maybe I'll come on at some point in the future. And I thought we were cool. Like, here we are trying to set up this show. We think it'd be majorly beneficial. And what do they end up doing? Jake goes on Twitter and says, Tim Pool's a joke, a man of no principles. Last month, he told me he would have Fuentes on. And now they're lying about it. Is it a joke? In what reality does it make sense that we ask you to come on the show, you ask to bring Fuentes on, knowing they suspend and ban people for doing so, and then instead of me just saying, like, this is the stupidest thing in the world, Nick says they're playing games.
Amelia, thank you for the super chat. I 1000% stopped taking Tim seriously after the Lydia debacle. Dude preaches about the importance of community and family and all of his values, and then acts like that at his own company. This is a joke. I mean, listen, I don't judge people too harshly for what they do in their personal lives. I think everyone has a personal life, and like, we've all made stupid decisions, or like, I mean, at least if we have a good personal life, if you've had an exciting personal life in any aspect, you've probably made some stupid decisions that maybe looking back on you would regret, or maybe you would think differently about them. So I truly don't judge him or her harshly for that whole situation. Yeah, I don't judge them too harshly. I guess I can understand why people do, but whatever.
Games. They're playing games. Just have us on or don't. What games, dude? What games and in what reality are you talking about? Like, we're sitting back here going, wah, let's waste Nick Fuentes his time. What?
I'm trying to figure out whether or not I think Tim is lying. And my inclination is that I think that Tim is lying. Because it's just too much. It's too much. It's like the man doth protest too much. A 37-minute reaction video when you don't do this type of content, Tim, is doth protesting too much. Like, it would be like if this happened to me and I did a reaction video to it, that would be completely and totally expected. Because every fucking time this shit happens to me, I do a reaction to it just to have some sort of response on the record. So, like, if I did this, it would be completely and totally predictable and no one would question it because I always fucking do that. You don't do this stuff, Tim. To the best of my knowledge, maybe Tim has changed his content since the last time I watched him. But, like, the fact that he took the time to do a 37-minute reaction video to get all his feelings out on the internet when he never does this, except when Adam told everyone that he was fucking Lydia, and then he did a live response stream the next day. I think Tim's lying. I am still on Team Jake and Team Nick. I think Tim is lying.
It's the stupidest thing in the world. And this is the world that they live in. And so here's where we end up. So Jake starts going off, reposting a bunch of smack talk about me, whining like a little baby that we won't have him on our show. The cringiest, like, yeah. He says, and it's his show.
I'll tell you this. If Tim was really as important as Tim wants everyone to perceive him as with his trip to Mar-a-Lago, and I have billions of subscribers, and I get hundreds of emails a day, my text messages are constantly full. and listen, I don't actually doubt that like Tim is like busy, right? Like Tim does have a lot of like irons in the fire. I don't doubt that. But Tim could literally just ignore this. Tim doesn't actually need to respond to this. He could literally just ignore it. It all would have gone away in a day. Tim has enough experience in this to know that. No one actually really cares anyway. He could have just ignored it.
He can do what he likes. I just don't like liars or people too cowardly to tell you they changed their mind. It's funny to me how these people who hate Israel so much are like the whingiest crybabies.
Yo!
Like, I gotta tell you.
Tim, you cannot do a 37-minute video where you're crying about someone saying things you don't like on the internet and then call another person a crybaby at like the halfway point in the video. We're like not even to the halfway point of this video yet. That's how much Tim is crying in this video.
Most of these people are like, I don't even want to say beta. Because beta males are second in command. They're lieutenants. It's a misconception. They say you're a beta male.
Jake Shields was an MMA fighter. Okay. We need to do another poll immediately. Who is more beta? Jake or Tim? Everyone has to vote. You guys will probably enjoy voting on this one much more. Who is more beta? Jake or Tim?
And it's just like, look, man, an alpha is the leader of the pack.
Jake Shields is an MMA fighter. Tim Pool, rollerblades.
And the betas are the commanders. You want to say like omega male or whatever, a scrawny, pathetic man who like, you know what I mean? But this and I mean this sincerely. No other group of people has cried so much and screamed and complained like little babies more than these people.
That's the ironclad law of pussy projection, Tim.
All they want to do is they want to come on and they want to say things like, this is Jake Shields on Twitter. Says, Tim, I never asked to come on your show because I think it's boring. I have at least a dozen emails from 3 separate booking agents of yours, and I told them no every time. Yeah, I don't tell them what to do. They book who they feel like booking. I only agreed to do it with Nick because I want to piss people off and help Nick get back on big shows.
Good inclination,
and there
Jake.
it is. And then he says, you lie like a Jew. That's what they want to do. They want to come on Timcast IRL, cause problems, piss people off, break things, hurt people. And this is exactly what they're doing now. So let me break things down for you because I got no problem talking about it. I don't care. They're like, Tim's scared to have Nick Fuentes on, blah, blah. Scared? Moral fact.
Do you know what screams I don't care? What screams I don't care from the fucking rooftops, Tim, is doing a 37-minute reaction video when you don't do reaction videos. This is like on Socialism Saturday when James Lindsay disrupted Socialism Saturday to tweet about me saying he's totally not thinking about me. We were in the middle of 5 hours of watching Socialism and all of a sudden we got a James Lindsay fucking Twitter update where James Lindsay was tweeting that he was definitely not thinking about me. This is exactly the same thing, Tim. People don't make 37-minute videos about things they don't care about, Tim.
You have Nick Fuentes on your show, you get banned. That's it. You have Nick Fuentes debate someone on your show, and they don't ban you. That's just it. That's how the game is played. You don't want to do it? Fine. Nobody wants to do it with you. It's because you're a whiny baby. Okay, I'll put it this way.
Projection.
I talked about it. Like, look at what Jake Shields is saying. And I'll show you another tweet from him. I quote tweeted him. You lie like a Jew. That's Jake Shields. He said, Tim, you said I asked to come on your show, which is a flat out lie. Yeah. Jake, I didn't invite you. Okay. My booking agents are reaching out to a bunch of people And you wanted Nick Fuentes on. You asked for us to have Nick Fuentes. You asked. And so I talked to you and you said, I want Nick Fuentes to come on. I said, okay, here's your request. Here's how we can accommodate. And then you started crying like a low T beta baby bitch on Twitter. Why won't you have me on the show? Oh, poor baby.
Look at that freeze frame. Tim's lip is. Look at Tim's lip. Oh my. He's having feelings. Timmy is having some feelings. Look at the bottom lip. It's quivering.
So pathetic. No other group does this. I go to liberals and they tell me to screw off. They don't want to come on the show. They don't cry when we won't have them on. You are the only person who's like, there's one other person who tweeted and that was it. But you just went nuts, just like pouting and banging on the table, crying. I just wanted to piss people off and bring Fuentes on, but your show's boring anyway. Oh, what a loser. He says most people in the past 6 months have noticed one group lies.
Tim is clutching his pearls underneath his desk right now. Oh my God. I didn't think I was going to stay up past 2 a.m., but like, this is just too fucking great. We still have not 38 minutes, 18 minutes of this. This is my reaction to Tim's 37-minute reaction video is going to be like an hour and a half long.
More than all the others. You are aware, but you want the money. Like, I don't know, man. Look, these people, this is their game. This is the game they play. This is why people don't want to invite them on shows. And this is why the moment Jake Shields says, bring Nick Fuentes on, we know, like, okay, we know what that means. It means Jake Shields is laughing.
Hang on. Wasn't it Tim just the other day who said, anytime you have Nick Fuentes on your shows, your staff is going to get harassed and we're going to get angry emails and we're going to have to spend $100,000 in security just because we had Nick Fuentes on the show, and it's going to cause all these problems and people are going to be. Well, didn't Tim say that just the other day? Am I making that up? And now Tim is saying, we totally wanted to have Nick Fuentes on his show. We absolutely wanted to. We tried so hard. We talked to sponsors. We really, really wanted it to happen, but we just couldn't find anyone else to come on. It was impossible to find another Zionist to debate Nick. So even though I said 2 days ago that the reason that we won't have Nick Fuentes on is because he is a horrible danger to to our staff, and he's going to cause all of these problems, and he's going to cost us $100,000 in security, and there's going to be swatting, and there's going to be cops and all this stuff. And that was the first reason why we didn't want to have Nick Fuentes on the show. But now the real reason is that we totally did want to have him on. We just couldn't find anyone to come on with him. Tim, do you even hear yourself right now?
Thinking, I am going to cause problems on social media. Now I'll tell you the reality. I don't think Jake Shields is literally crying like a little whiny baby bitch. I think this was his plan the whole time.
True.
I think he and Nick Fuentes get attention by playing the victim and acting like martyrs. The reason Nick Fuentes is going on his show and going, oh, you won't have me on the show. That was the point the whole time. That's it. They don't want to come on the show. They think it's boring. They think it sucks. They don't want to come on the show.
That's not true.
They just asked to come on the show and then complain about it later.
That's not true. Nick absolutely wants to go. Well, I mean, listen, I could be wrong. Maybe there's an alternate universe in which Tim is right. But like, my understanding is that Nick would actually be like pretty happy if he went on that show.
Well, then how do these pieces come together? I believe Nick Fuentes doesn't want to come on the show.
I don't believe
Jake
that.
Shields doesn't want to come on the show. I think the whole intention here is to put us in a situation they know we can't accommodate, cause problems so that they can generate attention and act like we did something wrong. And here I was thinking, let's play, baby. You want to bring Nick on the show? We'll do it. Here's how it's done. Unfortunately for them, everyone hates them and nobody wants to come on the show. Nobody. And then he offers up like gag.
Are you saying that Laura Loomer hates Nick? That's provably not true, Tim. Laura Loomer does not hate Nick. Laura Loomer is friends with Laura Loomer is incredibly loyal to Nick.
Individuals. And I was like, okay, I'm like, you realize no one's going to take you seriously if you do that. And they're like, yeah, you're right. Then they act like we backed out of it. Okay. Here's the reality of Nick Fuentes. His audience are the biggest crybabies on the internet. Like,
no, they're not,
look,
Tim.
All the people now posting pictures of me with yarmulkes and me getting my hat pulled off and stuff. I've never seen such whinging. No other group does this. Con Inc. doesn't do it. The Daily Wire fans don't do it. Like, what is this?
And that's why Nick is infinitely more effective than Conservative Inc. in reaching people, because it's fun, Tim. The Groypers have fun. The Groypers are in a club. They do stuff together. They post clips that they like with each other. They support Nick. This is a fucking club. It's fun. It's a social circle. They get off on it. It's a fucking club. This is why they're able to successfully influence things, because they're a giant pain in the ass and they have a good time doing it. And I'll be the first to say, I don't like all Groypers. I think that there are many Groypers that suck, but there are also really cool Groypers and they're really sweet Groypers and they're not all the same. And to say that they're just like all like, that this is just like, oh, there's this unruly audience. How dare they? How dare they fill up my mentions on Twitter? How dare they? How dare they tweet at me demanding that I have on someone that they want to see me talk to? How dare they? Tim, do you understand how ridiculous you sound right now? You literally spent the first half of this video saying, I don't even look at my Twitter mentions anymore. I don't even look. I have too many followers on Twitter. It's just pointless. But then you're like, how dare they fill up the mentions on my Twitter? Bro.
Trump supporters don't do it, but these people just cry all day. They sit at the computers and they cry. Like, I don't know. I mean figurative cry. Like they're tweeting up like, why would you debate him? It's like, what is this? What is this whinging? What is this panicked whinging? Man, I swear, two groups of people you drop in the middle of the woods and say survive, that would never do it. It's going to be the woke left and Nick Fuentes' fan base.
I don't agree with that at all. I absolutely do not agree with that. If a bunch of Groypers got dropped in the middle of the woods, they would figure it the fuck out. Now, they might fuck around for a while and they might do stupid things for a while and it might take them a minute. I'm not saying they're going to figure it all out right away. But at the end of the day, what the Groypers have that Tim does not understand, because Tim's audience doesn't have this. Nick was very smart in how he built his audience, man, because what the Groypers have that Tim's audience does not have is fucking camaraderie. They have camaraderie with each other. They stick up for each other. They do things together. Again, it's a club. Tim can't understand this because most of Tim's audience just watches Tim to hate him. They don't get along with each other. So Tim is just jealous that Nick has a far more effective audience than he does, and he wants to complain about it on the internet. Okay.
You put them in the woods, they're going to be like, I have no idea how to live. They're going to sit there and bang on trees, screaming and crying like babies. It's remarkable how much they go on Twitter and cry about it. I tell you this, go look at all the comments.
This is definitely not going to solve that problem, Tim. You definitely didn't just kick the Groyper hornet's nest like you've never kicked it before.
Look at all the responses. And Jake's like, haha, I ratioed you. It's like, dude, your audience is crying and begging for attention more than any other group. You got people who are successful who go out there every day and they build a platform. Why don't you make your own show, Jake? Why don't you build a show that Nick can go on? Because they're going to ban us. Yeah, because all you do is cry about Jews. And then you live in...
Tim, Nick quite literally did build his own platform. Nick did build his own show. Don't act like they can't do this. He literally did this. He did this while being banned off of everything on the internet.
in this crackpot reality where you just think it's true. You took the money. Money from who? We had sponsors that were interested in that show, interested in that debate. Money from who? Our network of members and sponsors. Dude, let me tell you the reality of Nick Fuentes. Well, I'll also shout this to Chris Bertman, who tweeted this where I got the clip. Nick Fuentes was on the show with Ye and he walked off. I don't blame him for that at all. He's working with Ye and Milo. Ye walked off because Ye's also like this is like, look at this. Like Ye could not handle even 28 minutes of a debate. And it wasn't even a debate. He asked me a question. He's like, who is they though? And I was like, corporate press, the establishment, the Uniparty, the military industrial complex. And he got so mad that I wouldn't say the Jews, he stormed off. Only person to ever do that. This is my point. These people are the whiniest babies. They can't handle scrutiny. They can't handle reality. And so I think the intention of people like Fuentes is knowing they can't go on these shows in these circumstances, trying to get banned by saying shocking things like Jake did. Come on, everybody and their mom knows. You go on any social media platform aside from X and say something like you lie like a Jew, and you're going to get banned.
Let's just remember that if Nick went on that show, he would murder Tim in a debate. It wouldn't even be close.
Because of hate speech rules, because of woke left policies. They'll then make an excuse and they'll blame the Jews or whatever. But I'll put it this way. Nick Fuentes' audience intentionally causes drama and crisis for individuals. Nick Fuentes has fans. And I said this on Friday when Elijah Schaefer was here. I don't think these are actually his fans because...
oh, no, they are.
These are people claiming to be Groypers, claiming to be fans of Fuentes, who will threaten to rape and murder children. And I'm like,
oh, come on.
I really don't think those are Nick's fans.
Come on, Tim. Now Tim is just being fucking ridiculous.
I'm willing to bet those are like leftists who are trying to make Nick look bad. Mary Morgan was on the show and she's like, no, that's ridiculous. And Elijah Schaefer also said, no, that's ridiculous. And then a bunch of people in chat were like, that's absolutely not true. And I'm like, okay, I guess maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it really is that Nick Fuentes' fans just want to rape and murder children, or
that's
just
not what they say.
To do so to cause problems for people. Fine.
Receipts, Tim. Like, does Tim have any proof of this? Because I do know that the Groypers have to swear a rape, kill, die oath to Nick. But does anyone actually take that seriously? Like, Nick did administer an oath where everyone had to raise their hand and say, I swear to rape, kill, and die for Nick Fuentes. That's actually real. But does Tim believe that's real? Has Tim become so unhinged from reality that he believes that the Groypers are actually swearing to do that? Is Tim basically the next James Lindsay?
Whatever you think, I don't care. It doesn't make sense to me.
Yep.
But who
Tim
am I?
Sounds like a leftist.
It doesn't make sense to me that someone who claims to be a fan
of
Nick
record, there was a time on Twitter back in 2020 where Tim Pool tweeted at everyone that I was an SJW because I was like, why the fuck are you platforming Vosh? And Tim was like, you believe in cancel culture, you're an SJW. Oh, how the tables have turned, Timmy. Oh, how the tables have turned. Because right now, you look like significantly more of a leftist than I do, bro.
Who actually wants him to espouse a message would destroy his opportunity to do so. So here's what I explained. And then they all cry about it. The reason why nobody has Nick on the show, there's two reasons. One, outside of a debate format, you get banned. That's it. There has to be a debate format. That's basically how YouTube operates. And such as YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, whatever. Rumble and X are way better. You can do Rumble and X. So if you want to come on my YouTube live show, then we're like, oh, well, it's got to be a debate. And so we were planning on having them on Culture War. And the funny thing is how excited everybody was for the debate show with Nick Fuentes, Laura Loomer, and Jake Shields. And Lauren didn't want to do it. Okay, no beef. I'm not trying to drag Laura, but
you
I
are
think that
trying
if
to
Nick
drag
Fuentes
her
wants
for no
to come
good
out
reason.
and act like we did not try to organize this without mentioning we had probably one of the best show ideas imaginable. I don't know what to tell you. But here's the reality. With the degree of threats you get from
Oh, here
Fuentes'
it is.
audience.
Here it is.
You
Here
have
it
to
is.
pay.
So now Tim has spent 25 minutes saying, we totally wanted to do this. We absolutely wanted to do this. We were ready to do this. We were so excited to do this. We definitely wanted to have them on. Believe us, we're telling the truth. We never told Jake Shields no. We were totally excited to do this. And he's been saying this for 25 minutes. And now we're about to switch gears into the, if we have Nick Fuentes on our show, there's going to be $100,000 of security costs and it's going to be really dangerous. And I'm going to put my staff in danger. Like, Tim, again, do you even hear yourself?
Security, and you have to pay insurance, and these things cause problems for businesses. That's why I think, it's intentional. It's intentional that they do these things knowing you're between a rock and a hard place. And I think they do it because they actually don't have the ability to actually debate. So I'll put it this way. I take a look at any political faction, the left, and they whinge and they complain on social media all the time. But not demanding people go on your show or whatever. Sometimes, but not as much. And they certainly engage in cancel culture. That's what they do. I think the reason the Groypers do this is that it's a shield for Nick. Now Nick can go on his show and say, oh, you're just scared of being censored. Well, dude, when your fans threaten to rape children, okay? And I'm going to say this again.
Receipts,
my argument is
receipts.
It's not really fans of Nick who do this. But take a look at anybody posting DMs, posting emails.
Wait, Tim. So now Tim is saying, the people that are saying all this horrible stuff, I know they're not really Nick's fans. They're just leftists trying to make Nick look bad. But then he's holding Nick responsible for what these people are doing. Does that make sense to anyone? If Tim, and again, I want receipts on what Tim is saying because I've been around the Groypers more than the average bear, and I've never seen them saying that shit. I have heard them say that they took a loyalty oath to rape, kill, and die for Nick Fuentes, but that wasn't even real. But the fact is, Tim is saying, you know what? I'm sure those aren't even Nick Fuentes' fans. So not even his fans. They're leftists trying to get him in trouble. So then, Tim, if you really think that they're leftists trying to get Nick in trouble, then why is Nick to blame for that? Is Nick responsible for the behavior of every single person on the internet? Is Nick responsible for the behavior of people who are doing underhanded, dirty tactics to try to get him in trouble for something he didn't do? Because that doesn't sound like it's Nick's fault to me.
And there's people publicly sharing these things on X. I'm like, that's got to be someone faking it. Because there's no way Nick's fan. Okay, fine. If the argument is these really are Nick's fans, then it sounds to me like they do this to make sure Nick doesn't actually have to stand up to debate. This way, he gets to be a martyr.
Tim.
He gets to claim.
Tim Pool thinks that Nick Fuentes doesn't want to debate. In what universe does that actually even make sense? Nick Fuentes has been debating since he was in high school. Nick Fuentes made his name debating. Nick Fuentes mops the floor with any person that he walks into a debate with, and it's usually not even close from every single one that I've seen. And you're really telling me, Tim, and you expect us to believe that Nick Fuentes is too scared to come on your show and have a debate when debating is like what that kid lives for? Nick was on a Twitter space. Nick hosted his own Twitter space the other day where he was talking to totally not Elon Musk, where Nick proactively said, if there's anyone that disagrees with me, come up and debate. And that could have been anyone. Nick didn't know who was going to raise their hands in that Twitter space, but and that Twitter space, how many views does that Twitter space have? Probably over at least 1 million, I would think, if not even several million at this point. But you're telling me, Tim, that Nick Fuentes is so scared to debate that he did his own Twitter space where he was entirely in charge of picking out the people in the Twitter space and allowing people to come up. And he specifically asked for people who disagreed with him to debate him because he wants to debate. And you're telling me, well, Nick is just afraid to debate, and he uses the Groypers as a shield for that. Tim, come on. Tim is lying. I am now positive Tim is lying. This is all bullshit and spin and nonsense, and no one who can follow basic logic from point A to point B can honestly look at what Tim is saying just on the face of it. You don't have to like Nick, but the arguments that Tim is that Tim is making right now don't make sense at all in any way when you look at other evidence from outside the situation.
He's being censored. He gets to claim that people are playing games with him. Like, what game would there be to play? Why would I be like, I'm gonna call you 2 times and actually ask people to organize a debate and work on sponsorships? What game is being played? It's ridiculous. How about I just say no? They live in this fake world where everyone's playing games with them. Okay. If someone's playing a game, I'll tell you why. It's because these guys sick their followers on you and do this. They go on their show, they cause a storm, and then they try and get you sent a bunch of threats. And then what happens? For anybody who's running a decently large operation with multiple employees, which has security requirements because of insurance, it's going to cost you money. It's lawfare, effectively. And it's a different kind. Nick knows he's small and he's censored. So when he throws a Molotov cocktail at someone's business,
I'm not going to suggest that Nick has a larger audience than Tim Pool, but Nick can go on to Rumble at any time of day that he wants to go on and have the most viewers of any live stream on Rumble. And he doesn't have a check mark on Rumble. He's not a partner on Rumble. He can log on to Rumble at any point and have 10,000 people plus watching his stream. It will be the #1 live stream on Rumble. And you're like, Nick gained over 100,000 Twitter followers in like a day and a half after his account got reinstated. Give Nick a year on Twitter, he's probably going to have a significantly bigger audience than Tim. Unless they start pulling shenanigans again. But to say, like, Nick is just like this small, little, inconsequential nothing, and oh my god, and he just wants more attention. Tim, again, bullshit.
the political blowback is minimal for him. And for the business, it's massive. That's lawfare. So when his followers start sending threats and doing these things, and then our insurance company gets angry, I shouldn't say ours, but for like events and things like this, insurance companies take issue with the degree of threats and the security assessment. And then you have to pay for reinforced security. Your insurance rates goes up. That doesn't affect him. So typically what happens is they will ignore him. They will just say, you mentioned the name Fuentes, no dice, because he's fake. That's it.
No, oh my god.
I'll tell you this.
You want me to believe that Nick Fuentes is more fake than Tim Pool is? Bro.
I don't actually need know why Nick even has to get dragged into this. I don't care. Jake Shields is the one who got asked to come on the show, but he asked that he could come with Nick Fuentes. That's what I mean. He asked to come on. I suppose the reality is, if you take a holistic view of what Fuentes is and what he does, and you break it all down, what you see is something that makes no sense at all. Why would his followers send threats to people, berate people, attack them, downvote, thumbs down, all of that stuff? Why would they do that? Unless the intention was to make sure nobody wants to associate with Nick. Then I assume they're not really his fans, right? Well, I'm told I'm wrong.
This is a massive
The situation surrounding Nick doesn't make sense at all. His business strategy has no real business strategy. He's not trying to espouse a message. I think he's a
What? Nick raised like $140,000 right before Christmas in like in a couple hours on a live stream. You're going to tell me Nick doesn't have a business strategy? Nick raised $140,000 in a couple of hours on a live stream. Nick is throwing his AFPAC event which, I mean, seems to have a metric ton of people that are going to it, and I'm looking forward to going to it, and I'm really excited that they invited me. And like, that's like, you're going to tell me that that's not part of his business strategy? You're going to tell me that his rallies that he does is not part of his business strategy? You're going to tell me that the show he does, okay, he maybe could start doing it at a consistent time of day. That would be pretty fucking great. You're going to tell me that's not part of his business strategy? I'm not saying Nick has the most thought through strategy in the history of the world, but to say that Nick doesn't have a message, Nick is extraordinarily clear about what his message is. In fact, let's just look at Nick's Twitter. Hang on. Let me just look at Nick's Twitter. Pull up his account. Because I'm pretty sure that Nick explicitly posted on this. Hang on. That wasn't what I wanted to click on. Hang on, I didn't want to do that. I just wanted to look at his profile. Go back, browser. Don't do this to me. Just go back. Gained over 100,000 followers since he got reinstated. Let's just see. Does Nick have any tweets on his account that he's made in the past day or so that could maybe be confused with Nick having a consistent message on things of his values? Hang on. Oh, what's this? What's this, Timmy? This was posted on May 4th. This was posted several days before Tim did this 37-minute reaction video. And Tim is pretending that he's just so busy being a fucking journalist that he couldn't look at Nick Fuentes' Twitter feed and find an exceptionally clear statement of values. What we believe. Christ is king. America first. What we want. Christian government, preferably monarchy. And end white genocide. Now, you don't have to agree with Nick's values. You don't have to like Nick's values. But to honestly sit there and say on a live stream that Nick Fuentes does not have very clear and consistent values. Listen, man, I've been listening to Nick pretty consistently since October 7th. And he has been extraordinarily clear in his values. He does not deviate from these values. So Tim is just being like intellectually dishonest on a good day. And for him to like again, it's like this just shit like this just proves that Tim is not a credible source of information at all. And he's certainly not a journalist.
Jock, who's found a gullible bunch of morons who will give him money and support him and then tweet a whole bunch of stupid nonsense for no reason because it just props him up. That's it. The ultimate grift. If Nick Fuentes was serious, he wouldn't do the things he did. He wouldn't lie. He wouldn't complain. If Jake Shields was serious, but Jake Shields pointed it out, he's just trying to piss people off. That's what he said. And he hates Jews. Well, okay.
It's a big mistake you're making with being a fangirl for this scumbag, Nick. First, remember who harassed you after you refused to say CRT is anti-white? Yeah, it wasn't Nick's audience. It was No White Guilt's audience. Those are not the same thing. Nick is not remotely anywhere as close to toxic as No White Guilt is. Nick's audience is not anywhere near as toxic as No White Guilt's audience is. It wasn't the Groypers. It was fucking No White Guilt. I'm not saying there were Groypers involved because there is a tiny bit of overlap, but guess what? I just blocked those Groypers. I told the Groypers I didn't want the race shit in my feed. A lot of them didn't listen. I just blocked them. It was really that simple. So no, I know exactly who it was that started that shit, and it wasn't him. Say what you want, but Nick is more consistent than Tim will ever be, and I will tip my hat to him. Indeed.
So they try to make the claim that me, some dude with a YouTube channel, not even the biggest, is working for Jews. I think what they've found is a group of gullible individuals who are hyper-focused on Jews as their problem, live in bubble world. And so long as Nick can create the perception that he is being oppressed by the Jews, they'll keep giving him money, directly or indirectly. That's my view of it. Because I'll put it this way. If he really wanted to come on shows, he would be doing the opposite of what he was doing. There are many people, I'll give you an example. We had a guest on IRL who was anti-abortion, and he refused to say it. He refused to say he was anti-abortion. He said, it's not helpful. I said, is abortion murder? I said, I don't want to say that. Why? He's playing politics, trying to win a political cause. Do you think that Jake Shields and Nick Fuentes are actually trying to expose Israel or Zionists or Jews?
Yes.
Certainly, this is not the way you'd go about doing it, right?
Really, Tim?
You'd go about doing it in...
Really? Because they seem to be highly effective at what they're doing. You just don't like their tactics because their audience is more engaged with them than your audience is with you.
Other means, like everyone in the world knows,
Sure.
If you go on YouTube and claim, as Jake Shields did, saying things like you lie like a Jew, then you get banned. Well, where is there any positive impact on your message or cause? For what purpose would Jake Shields want to bring on Nick Fuentes knowing that simply...
Where is there any possible impact on Nick's message or cause by the Groypers being a pain in the ass? Oh, I don't know, Tim. Maybe, remind me, Tim, was it the Groypers haranguing Elon Musk for a year every single time he tweeted about anything? When are you going to unban Nick Fuentes? 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 Like, do you think that maybe the haranguing of the Groypers had something to do with the fact that Elon Musk reinstated Nick's Twitter account? Because he literally responded to a Groyper who was saying, when are you unbanning Nick Fuentes? And said, you know what? You're right. The principle is more important. I'm going to do that. Like, that was because of the Groypers, Tim. You don't like the Groyper tactics because the Groypers don't like you. And I'll be the first to say that some of the Groypers are a pain in the ass, but you know what I do, Tim? When the Groypers are a pain in the ass in my feed, the ones that don't like me, of which there are many, I just block them. And that way I only have to deal with the good Groypers. And the good Groypers are actually really nice, and they're nice to have around, and they're smart, and I like them. And so the good Groypers can stay, the bad Groypers can go. That's how adults manage situations, Tim. You won't do that because it's too much of a bother for you to have to deal with the little people. And you're all pissed off because Nick has a more engaged audience that loves him more than your audience loves you. That's really what this is about.
Saying these things would result in the channel getting banned.
But to say that the haranguing of Nick's audience hasn't resulted in positive results for Nick is just factually untrue, based entirely on the fact that Nick Fuentes has his Twitter account back, and that wouldn't have happened if the Groypers weren't such a colossal fucking pain in the ass.
In no way would that actively help their cause. All you got to do is answer me that. In what way does that help the cause of exposing a power structure? The reality is, it does not. Okay, then what's their real aim? Honestly, I have no idea. But either they're morons or their intent, and I don't think that's the case. Maybe Jake, I don't know. He doesn't seem to know up from down. I know that Nick is a smart guy. So then I have to look at what Nick is doing.
Did Tim Pool just call Jake Shields dumb? Oh, please tell me you guys are doing this. Are you actually doing this? Is the next Groyper War going to be targeting Tim Pool? Please do this. Please do this. Groypers, you guys would be the heroes of the internet if you brought Tim Pool to heel. Please give us all this gift. I'm not even joking. I would pay money to watch this.
And I don't think Nick's stated intentions are genuine, because this is not how you'd go about actually addressing a power dynamic. I can break it down in terms of like, let's say you're a Native American and you're trying to figure out how to reject the colonialism. What did they do? They built casinos. Did they go to war? No. There's strategy. There's indirect methods of gaining power.
Building casinos is not rejecting colonialism, Tim. That's completely wrong, completely false. Whoever you've been learning from has lied to you. That is not what colonialism means at all. And that's also not what decolonization means at all. Building a casino is not a decolonizing effort, Tim. It's the opposite of decolonizing.
And Yellowstone was a great
moron.
fictionalized depiction of Native American tribe competing with the interests of a white settler who took their land. And then if you look at the prequel show, it was like the family came there and they were like, in 7 generations, the land will be yours. And then like, it wasn't the case. How do you win a war? Okay, well, if you're someone who's a big fan of Nick Fuentes, you have to ask yourself, at what point are they actually going to try to win? Because like, imagine you've got a castle, a large castle with a king sitting atop the tower in the center of the castle. And you and 7 of your cohorts with sticks, pointy sticks, are running at the stone walls and poking them while screaming, help, help, we're being repressed. Does that look like you're anywhere near challenging any kind of power structure? No. But there's certainly one guy sitting behind you saying, keep going, keep going.
If Nick wasn't challenging any of the power structures, then Nick would not be banned off of like everything. He wouldn't be debanked. He wouldn't have done like none of it. If Nick really wasn't that scary, Tim, then what the ADL would not have released a statement regarding his reinstatement to Twitter. You're honestly going to tell me that the ADL isn't fucking terrified of Nick Fuentes when they're releasing a statement denouncing him getting a Twitter account? Tim is in the land of Retardia. Tim is not the mayor of the land of Retardia. James Lindsay is the mayor of the land of Retardia. But Tim is like the vice mayor of the land of Retardia.
You're getting closer. At a certain point, you have to realize you're not. So that's why I think it's fake. I don't think these guys are real. This is the reality of that whole world. It's fake. Now, Donald Trump, he's a guy who's effective. He's not. He doesn't just come out and there's political strategies. I'll give you a really great example.
Oh, you're right.
Supreme Court
You're
arguments.
right. You're right. Tim Pool is the town crier. James Lindsay is the mayor of Retardia. Tim Pool is the town crier.
I said Trump should be at the oral arguments for presidential immunity. And Trump said nothing about it. He said, I want to go, but they won't let me go. I want to go, they won't let me go. And I was like, what? Then go. You look weak. After the oral arguments, then we figured it out. Indirect strategy. Trump's legal team feared that if he showed up to the oral arguments, it would shift the argument from, is the president immune, to, is Donald Trump acting in his official capacity, which wasn't answered. They wanted to make sure that the arguments stayed on focus of the presidential office and not him personally. And by him personally being there, it would create a focus on him being there. It would cause issues with him grimacing, or they'd say, look what he's doing in the courtroom, and it would make him the story. Trump is hoping to win this one for the presidential office, which will benefit him. That's strategy. I respect it. So there's also the Trump going to Barron's graduation. I said he should go anyway. Well, Trump just said, they won't let me go. I guess I can't go. And then they caved. Why? If Barron Trump went to court instead of his graduation and then made a statement, like one of his first, and said, on one of the most important days of my life, my graduation, this court refused to let my father attend, so I will come here instead to support my family because family matters most. That would have been a massive PR blow. There's strategy there. I ask you this. What is the strategy in what they're doing? Well, certainly in terms of their stated political goals, there's none. In terms of generating attention for themselves, acting like martyrs and building up their culture.
Tim, they want a Christian monarchy. They are very clear. They want a Christian country. They want a Christian government. They want a fucking Christian monarchy. You might not agree with their goals. You might think their goals are crazy, but they are extraordinarily clear about what their goals are.
Cult fan base that are gullible and willing to believe it, it seems to make sense. Now I'll end with this. Long video, huh? The fans of Nick Fuentes will not be swayed by anything I say, and I really don't care.
No, they won't.
They live in Wally world. They live in this magical fictional world where Israel is the most powerful organization in the history of mankind, which is the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
Yo.
Well, certainly disproportionately powerful relative to many other countries, wealthy, and AIPAC certainly is powerful. They seem to forget, like, Saudis are directly implicated in 9/11. Saudi Arabia is being sued over it. The U.S. bends the knee every day to Saudi Arabia because their ability to control the flow of petroleum around the world, which could screw over the petrodollar. And the U.S. has been implicated in the death of over 100,000 Yemeni civilians, including, I think, around that many children. Not to mention the extrajudicial assassination of Abdurrahman al-Awlaki, and the fact that in Dearborn, Michigan, you have female circumcision on the rise, and you have Islamophobia is a bannable offense on social media and has been for 10 years. They ignore all that stuff. They ignore Donald Trump getting impeached for suspending military aid to Ukraine, while when Joe Biden suspends aid to Israel, nothing happens. They ignore the fact that Joe Biden is defying the Israeli government and telling them to stop invading Rafah, and the fact that the U.S. government has been apparently trying to oust the Israeli government and install a new, more favorable government. But it's Israel that controls the United States. They seem to ignore literally every other military conflict, compromise, negotiation, and lobby in the world because they can't see straight. Make of it what you will. There's my addressing the game that is Nick Fuentes, and I will say it very simply as a final thought. The moment Jake said, "I'll only come out with Nick Fuentes," I was like, there it is. He's playing games. Nick knows outright. He said it in this video. They won't have me on because they fear getting censored. He knows for a fact. So when he plays this game like, we would like to come on your show, it's like, well, you already know what's going to happen. This is a foregone conclusion. The reason why I said it has to be a debate is that's the only format in which you don't get banned for having them on. That's it. They know that. And then they also knew nobody wanted to debate them. That's the game they're playing because they're lying.
The Krasensteins literally wanted to debate
Next segment's coming up at 6 p.m. on this channel. Thanks for
I'll leave it there. I've been talking for 47 minutes, 37 minutes, whatever. Tim is a retard. Honest to God. Oh my God. I look back on, like, I used to listen to Tim in like 2019, and Tim was definitely a part of like me first waking up to like all this stuff that was going on. And I stopped watching him and like everyone at the beginning of 2021, but like Tim has not grown. Tim has gotten worse. Tim has actually gotten worse from when I listened to him in 2019. That was retarded, bro. I just have nothing else to say. I have nothing else to say. It is almost 3 a.m. I did not intend to be live this long, but we had to watch the whole thing, and Tim just had a lot of feelings to work out. So I hope you guys enjoyed this little stream. I will check in with some of this other stuff probably tomorrow that I wanted to watch. And we'll read that thread from Stony Baloney because I'm actually looking forward to that. But we'll do that at the 5 p.m. stream. But I'm going to go to bed, guys. I might stream Red May tomorrow. Red May is starting at 2 p.m. tomorrow. I might stream it. I feel like I kind of have to. I feel like we should have a good welcome back party for Philip. Maybe. I'll decide when I get up in the morning. Anyway, that's all for tonight, guys. Thank you for hanging out with me. I do appreciate it. Please mount the like button on the way out the door. Please make sure you are subscribed to my channel if you are not already. I will be back at 5 p.m. Eastern time. Take care, guys. We'll see you soon. Bye.